Hi everybody, good morning. Well, the walk has been very adventurous today. We've had neighbors, other dogs. I hope you guys had a fabulous weekend. Mine was just okay, very non-committal of me, huh? I know. So I have a good one for you today. Stay tuned. Good morning, Crafting Journey here. Welcome to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily. Yes, as you can see, I cleaned the craft room. And if you were ever considering getting these shelves or getting these things, I need to get glue to hold them. They've kind of fallen down, see? But the cats have learned they're not supposed to go in there. Although sometimes I catch Pearl going in there. How are you guys today? Oh my gosh. I'm okay. It was so hard to get out of bed this morning. So hard. I mean, ridiculously hard. And then, I walk the dogs every morning, obviously, because I show you. Well, last night, Tootsie decides, I'm going to sleep with Mommy tonight. Usually she'll sleep with my sister. Last night, she's sleeping with me. Well, this morning, Duncan comes bursting in the room, busts the door open, boom, like it was Christmas morning. So I said, hello, Duncan. He's like, time to go for the walk. Because I was laying there going, oh, woe is me, because I'm getting old and everything hurts. Yeah. Well, I realized why everything hurt yesterday. I forgot to take my medicine in the morning. You got to remember to take the medicine. If you don't take the medicine, it ain't going to work. Anyway. Enough about me. Wow. So here's the painting thus far. I don't know if you can see the whole thing, but anyway, I'm working on the trees up at the top. This section right in here I'm filling in, and down in here. This is what I'll work on down in here today. While I'm chit-chatting with you. So it is National Get Out of the Doghouse Day. Are you in the doghouse with somebody? My boss. I don't know. I don't know enough to know if she's one of those, people that, some people have the ability to do something and then just forget about it. I don't know if she's one of those people. I have no idea. I haven't seen her since I told her off. So she's just sitting back waiting for me to screw up again, I'm sure. But that's okay. That's what I was thinking of this morning when I don't want to go to work. I want to be fun employed. It's a new term that I heard. So I guess if I heard it, it's not new. Fun employed, where you do YouTube and you craft and you just, that's your job. Crickets. I hear crickets. It's not going to work. Yeah. Oh, well, yes, I have to work just like everyone else. Well, not everyone else, but, most people work for a living. Anyway, so have you pissed somebody off, or are you pissed at somebody? This is the day to let them out of the doghouse. But if you're in the doghouse, get with that person and work it out. Yeah. Just say, hey, let's chat. Let's have a talk. And then after you've chatted and after you've talked and worked it out, and then send them a box of candy, a box of chocolates, or some brownies, homemade brownies. And then all will be well. You'll be out of the doghouse. Now, I had to bake my box of brownies. No, ain't gonna happen. Sorry. I know I can't practice what I preach. I know. I didn't make up the National Day. Some woman in Florida did. Seriously, some woman in Florida came up with this day. Yeah, okay. Crafting and Crime Daily, what you came here for. The trial is wrapping up. Yep. So we have one last prosecution witness. This is another crime scene investigator person. It might have even been the investigating officer. He gets on the stand and he says there was a Walmart bag found in the home of Heather Frank that had a Samsung phone packaging. The Samsung phone was gone. So someone had gone to Walmart, purchased a phone, and had it activated. So it got a burner phone. The receipt for that, the phone was gone, and the total was $99 for the phone, $44 for something else, but couldn't tell what else it was. So, and the only reason he put this evidence on the stand is because earlier during the testimony, this officer had said that Mr. Eastman had purchased two burner phones, and he was there this was his chance to say, I made a mistake. It was only one phone. And they actually put surveillance footage up to show of the Walmart where Mr. Eastman is going in and out, and you don't see him. You see him purchase one phone, and then he comes back later and he returns it. Then we have a couple of things put into evidence, which was a receipt from February 12th for Old Chicago. I don't know what that is. I need to look that up. Ooh. I'll ask Alexa. Alexa, what is Old Chicago in Colorado?
Here's something I found on the web. According to beerpulse.com, a leader in the traditional casual dining space, Old Chicago has been serving handcrafted cuisine and local craft beers in Colorado and across the nation for 37 years.
So he went to Old Chicago and apparently had a beer on the 12th. He also got an oil change and a tire rotation on the 12th. So he was taking care of business on the 12th. Here's the timeline. On February 8th, Scott Sessions goes to Heather Frank's home for a date. He is killed. That's on the 8th. On the 9th, we know she calls in sick from work. We know that her phone and his phone travel all the way up to where the body is later found and travel back. We know there's footprints that they were not able to process because it was snowing, and it was just they couldn't really process those prints or match them to anything to Heather Frank or Scott Eastman, or at least I never heard that evidence. So then we know she calls in sick that day on the 9th. On the 10th, which would be Monday, 11th, Tuesday, we know from testimony we're going to hear later in the day that she went out for dinner with her son, his girlfriend, and Scott Eastman. Wednesday, she went to work. Thursday, she went to work. So we now know that's 10th, 11th, 12th. So Tuesday night, they're out for dinner. On the 12th, he's out having craft beer and getting his tires rotated. The last day she's seen is when she works on the 13th. Yeah, so we think she was alive. That's the last time we know she was alive. So then there's the 14th. We think she was probably killed on the 15th. Her body was found on the 16th. That's the timeline. So then we have something interesting that although Troy Bonnell's testimony is that there were shell casings found in his pants, it's not in any documentation anywhere in the records. No police officer documented that they found shell casings in his pants. They're never found. They were never entered into evidence. And even the investigating officer says, I remember them discussing this, but it didn't get into the records. It didn't make it to the lab, the shell casings. No. And what are the odds that both of these men have shell casings in their pants? I mean, what's that all about? Do you all men walk around with shell casings in their pants? No. So I didn't think so. So the prosecution rests. And I'm like, what? Where's the smoking gun? I pick my jaw up because I don't think they proved their case. I do not think they proved their case. I think they put out a really good timeline. But from between Heather Frank and Scott Eastman, who killed Scott Sessions? One of them did. That I have no doubt of. But can we convict Eastman of it? I don't know. There's DNA evidence to suggest that Heather Frank was involved in this. And we know her phone traveled with Scott Eastman. So, can I say beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Eastman killed Scott Sessions? No, I cannot say that. Not with it. No, not beyond a reasonable doubt. There's a lot of doubt. I think Heather Frank was involved in some way, form, or fashion. She either did it, and he, if you watch his interrogation, he's clearly he's covering for her. That's clear that he's covering for, or he's a really good actor, which he could be. So either way, I'm not convinced. So now let's move on to the murder of Heather Frank. We don't know where the murder took place. We don't know, where's the weapon? Where's the murder weapon? We've got a body, and that is it. We know that, Scott Eastman, prior to that body being discovered, had some strange movement that night. He was over at Troy Bonnell's home around midnight, and then between midnight and 6 a.m., he's kind of all over the place. Then he comes back at 6 a.m. on the morning of the 16th, says he's burning trash and household garbage for Troy Bonnell. Then he leaves again, and he's off to go to Walmart and some other places, and he's later arrested at a gas station on a warrant. But that's the day they're out searching Troy Bonnell's property pursuant to their investigation of the murder of Scott Sessions, and they accidentally find the body of Heather Frank. How did she get there? When did she get there? Who knows? I don't think this guy can get convicted of either one of these. But I have, on the community page, I have a poll. I have 2 polls up. The first one is, do you think he's guilty of the murder of Scott Sessions? And the second one is, do you think he's guilty of the murder of Heather Frank? These are separate charges. He's also charged with tampering with the body or tampering with evidence in the case of Heather Frank, and I think mutilation of a corpse in the case of Scott Sessions. Something to that effect. Anyway, more than one charge. So let me know what you think on the community page or down in the comments. So now we have the defense. They moved for a directed verdict, and this was so odd. It was really odd. They actually, and clever, I might add, they moved for a directed verdict on the murder count for Heather Frank because the murder count, the indictment was issued for Heather Christine Frank. And her name was Heather Christina Frank, or vice versa. So this entire trial, there's been no evidence that he murdered Heather Christina Frank. Only someone known as Heather Christine Frank. And I know the judge was like rolling his eyes. So here's what the judge said. Listen, maybe they should have added an A instead of an E or what, but irregardless, the defense was on notice that Heather Frank was dead and that he was charged with her murder. There's no prejudice to Mr. Eastman in any way by this mistake in the indictment. But the Constitution, and I'm like, oh dear. This is gonna be an appellate issue. The fact that the indictment came down in someone else's name and not the name of the murder victim. What? The defense goes forward with their case, and they put on several different witnesses. And the judge kept asking, "Is your client going to testify?" And because there's instructions he wants to give to the client, and they kept saying, "We're not. We're going to wait till after we put on our witnesses, and then we'll decide. Then he'll decide." So I don't know. Even as of the close of Friday, they said they were going to go through Friday with witnesses, continue on Monday, and then probably rest their case, or make a decision about his testifying on Monday and then rest their case. I don't know that it would be of any benefit to him at this point to testify, because like I said, I don't think the prosecution's proven their case. All he can do is muck things up if he gets up there and testifies. Yeah. Defense puts on one of the investigating officers, and she says that she had been called out to Troy Bonnell's home after the investigation, after Kevin Eastman is in jail. He's called back out to the Bonner home because Troy Bonner found additional evidence. It was a journal, and inside this journal was a planner and a Walmart receipt for February 12th, where he went to Walmart and he bought a flannel shirt, a pocket t-shirt, boxer briefs, 5-pack. He did not purchase any pants or shoes or any cleaning supplies. Now, this is the same day he's having craft beer and getting his tires changed. He decides to go shopping at Walmart. This happens to be the outfit that he's wearing when he's arrested and tested negative for blood. So I believe this was the outfit he purchased to put on after he committed the murder. If he was the person I think he killed Heather Frank, quite frankly. But have they proven it? No, I don't think so. Anyway, so also in the Subaru that he was driving, they found an iPhone where he was using the Apple ID Troy Milo. So I don't know what that means. And another ID that he was using on there was Chain Hand 72, which meant nothing to me. And then there were no phone records or location data associated with that phone. It was a burner phone. So there's nothing, when a phone is not associated with a particular company, there's no way they can track it. So he was carrying a burner phone around with him, because we know that his phone, Eastman's phone, shuts off, I want to say at 6 a.m. on the morning of the 16th. When he comes back and he's burning the trash, and there's no more location data from his phone after that, then I think he probably switched to the burner phone after that. I think he may have been getting ready to leave town, haul ass. And did Troy Bonnell have something to do with this? I think he had some knowledge for sure of what went down and helped, in some, I don't think he helped murder Heather Frank, but I think, a guy shows up on your property at 6 o'clock in the morning with a body, and I don't know. This whole thing is a mystery to me. So then the defense puts on the son of Heather Frank. We already heard from her oldest son. Now we know she has younger twin boys. This is one of the twin boys. He works for Pepsi. Cute. He's very cute, but not so intelligent. But anyway, he testified that he had gone out for dinner with his girlfriend and his mom and Kevin Eastman on Tuesday night. He didn't entirely trust Kevin Eastman. He didn't really converse with Kevin Eastman that night. He mostly just conversed with his mother, with, just general chit chat, and that's the last time he ever saw his mother. Then we get to hear from Kevin Eastman's sister, the one that he went to live with when they broke up in late 2019. He goes to live with his sister in Parachute, There's a town called Parachute. That's so cool. Parachute, Colorado. So he goes to live with her. She knows he has a problem with alcohol. But let me tell you, before we even get into her testimony, the jury had to leave the room so we could have usually they have their sidebars through Bluetooth, which I think is quite interesting. But they let the jury leave because they needed to talk to this witness. So the jury leaves, or goes back to the jury room. And the question to the witness was, have you ever committed a felony? Yes, I have. And what was it? Manslaughter. Manslaughter. Okay. And you're sitting there? And when was that? I was convicted of manslaughter in 1988. So there was a lot of discussion about how this should come out, what should the jury hear, and what should they know, and blah, blah, blah. So bottom line is the jury gets to hear this. So the jury learns that, yes, she had a conviction for manslaughter. It came about through an issue with the man she was living with, domestic violence. She ends up killing him. Whoa. Did not serve any time. That came in accidentally. She served probation. Probation for manslaughter. Yikes. Okay. You don't want to know where my head just went. You really don't. I was thinking of some fights that I used to get into with my mother. Manslaughter. Probation? I'll take it. That's terrible. Oh my God. And that's the show. Oh my God. All right. Back to the show. So she testifies that he comes to live with her. She knows has a problem with alcohol, but she says no drinking in my house. She's got a new husband, not new, but her life is cleaned up. She has a husband. She has a job. She's an insurance inspector. She's been there for like 20 years. She's living in some other portion, Pueblo, Colorado, and with her kids and her grandkids, and she has custody of her grandkids because her daughter's an alcoholic, so she does not allow liquor in her home. Well, when he leaves one night and goes out at 2:30 in the morning, she changes the locks because she knew that that's not his normal behavior, and she figured he was probably out drinking. But she also figured that, when he got home, he found out he was locked out. He left. Well, he waited till morning. I guess he slept in his car or something. And when morning came and he wasn't allowed back in the house, he leaves. Well, she just figured, well, he'll come back. And then when he doesn't come back on the 9th and the 10th, she starts searching for him. She finally gets a hold of him on the 11th, the 10th or 11th, which is like Monday or Tuesday. And he's like, I'm fine. She thought he'd come back because everything he owned in the world was sitting in her house, but he didn't come back. And again, he's back with Heather Frank, and she gives a little bit of the history of Heather Frank, Kevin Eastman, and that the relationship kind of started going south in 2015. They broke up in 2019. He had a problem with alcohol. She never mentions whether she had a problem. The mention was that she had a problem with infidelity. Okay. So, and that she did say that he was kind of resigned to that. Okay. Okay. She thinks he proposed to her 3 or 4 times, but she never attended a wedding. They never got married. She says, I know there were proposals, but there was never a wedding. And, that was pretty much her testimony. She had refused to talk to investigators on more than one occasion, saying, no, I'm working with the defense. She said, I'm not going to help you prosecute my brother. But in the end, she ends up helping prosecute her brother. I don't think she helped him by being on the stand. She really didn't. There wasn't really much she could say to help him. I mean, she just pretty much told us what we already knew about him. Now we know he's from a family that has a propensity for violent behavior. You don't I don't know. He knew that his sister had gotten away with manslaughter. And that's where the day ended on Friday with the sister. Yeah. So let's talk about this day in history. Back in 1969, I was 9 years old, so I don't have a big memory of this, and neither does the rest of the country, because at the time this happened, the event that I'm going to talk about, everybody was busy watching the Apollo moon landing and, all the events surrounding that. Meanwhile, Ted Kennedy is out celebrating and having a party on this little Chappaquiddick Island up in, where was this place? Alexa, where's Chappaquiddick?
According to Wikipedia, Chappaquiddick is a place in Massachusetts, in the United States.
So he's up in Chappaquiddick, up in Massachusetts. They're having a party for these 4 women that had helped with his brother Robert's campaign. Now, Robert had been assassinated, but they wanted to, just show these women some love, reward them for their efforts in his campaign. So they're having this big get together on this little island, Chappaquiddick. So Ted Kennedy gets in the car with Mary Jo Kopechne. Now, she's one of the 4 women. They get in the car. She doesn't have her purse with her hotel keys or money or anything like that with her, but she gets in the car with him. They've decided they're going back to their hotel. Now, in order for them to get to their hotel, they have to go down this road and either take a left to get to the ferry that will take them back to the mainland so they can go. They were staying in separate hotels, but he was going to drive her. Or they could have taken a right, and it would take them over this small bridge, and they would have been oceanside. So he takes a wrong turn, and he goes right. And instead of going over the bridge, he just goes in the water. No idea how this happened. He gets into the water, and the vehicle flips and is submerged. He tries to dive down and rescue her a few times. He's unsuccessful. This water had a pretty swift current. He goes and he gets assistance. He goes back to Chappaquiddick. He's still on Chappaquiddick. He goes back, gets some of his friends. They dive down and try to get her. They can't get her out. So he swims back to his hotel, changes his clothes, comes out into the hallway in his dry clothes, and he sees someone that works from the hotel out there. He's like, oh, I heard some loud noise and it woke me up, and like he's trying to create an alibi, So that's like 2:00 in the morning. Then the next morning, about 9:30, he reports it to the police. 10 hours after this happened, he reports it to the police. So then they go out there and they try to rescue this woman. Now, they said that they found her with her face up, because you got to picture the car. The car has flipped. She's face up in the footwell. They think maybe trying to reach an air pocket with her hands underneath the front seat. Obviously passed away, but they said even if she had lived for a short amount of time trying to get air, she would not have lived long, because of the water was so cold that she wouldn't have lived for very long. So even if he had notified people right away, they probably would not have been able to save her. However, for him to leave the scene like that, because 10 hours have passed, they can't test him for alcohol, so they couldn't get him for drinking and driving. There was no criminal action that they could get him for. They didn't know if he was speeding. They had no evidence that he had committed any criminal act, except for leaving the scene of an accident. And that's what he was charged with. Now, at this time, everybody was pushing him to run for the presidency for 1972. And because of this whole Chappaquiddick thing, he kind of backed down. He remained senator. He was a senator at the time. He stayed a senator, well into his career. He made one bid for the presidency, the Democratic nomination. He lost to Jimmy Carter and never did get the presidency. He passed away in 2009. So that is Chappaquiddick. Happened in 1969. And like I said, not a lot of focus on it because at that time everybody's watching TV. They're watching the spaceship, the space people. So they didn't care. They were very forgiving with the Kennedys. This Kennedy, they're like royalty here in the U.S. If you guys are from out of the country and you got your royals over in the UK, we've got the Kennedys, and he was a Kennedy. So anyway, that's the show for today. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please don't forget to hit the like button. I made him help me clean the craft room. He did a fabulous job, so make sure you just boop, hit the like button. If you scroll over, there's a thank you button if you want to do a super thanks, which is a one-time donation for the channel if you're enjoying the content. Also, consider becoming a member of the channel or subscribe. It's free to subscribe, absolutely free. And you don't want to forget the notification bell, because you never know when I'm going to upload new content. All right, everybody, have a great Monday. Take care.